Good day, my plant foldies. This is Richie at Grow Folds, and today we'll be big box store plant shopping at the Walmart off of Custer Road in McKinney, Texas. As always, please make sure you're hitting that like button, as well as following me on Instagram at Grow Folds. I'd love for you to connect with me, so please feel free to send a direct message if you have any questions about the plants that I feature in my videos. And if you like 1 hour plant shopping videos daily, subscribe to my channel with the notification bell on. I do have a live premiere chat that typically is started at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. But anyways, we are looking at this beautiful Walmart out in North McKinney, Texas. It is a beautiful Sunday morning when I'm filming this, and I definitely wanted to go out and do some more filming to show you guys some beautiful plants. As you know, I do plant shopping videos daily, and these are typically from the big box stores. So I like to go to this particular Walmart because typically they have some really good plant merchandising. They stay in stock. So we're going to see what plants they have available here. I will be going on vacation next week, so I'm hoping to get as much content out there available for y'all to see what plants we can find at a big box store. But you can see here, early Sunday morning is one of the best times to go plant shopping because then there aren't that many people, there's not so many crowds, and it's easy for me to film and also take the time to show you what plants they have available. So as you can see, they have an outdoor section, so it's separated from the main place in Walmart. So I'm just gonna go pan over here and show you what outdoor and indoor plants that they have available with early summer and late spring. I have been featuring a lot of outdoor plants just because I also want to feature those for anybody who likes gardening as well. I love gardening. I mean, to be honest, I love all types of plants. I say that in all of my videos. So this is the reason why I will take my time and show you all of the beautiful plants that they have available here. The reason why I also like to go to this particular Walmart and a lot of these Walmarts that I usually feature, because they have a cycle of being able to clearance out some of their plants. You can see that they've got a huge variety of indoor plants right here, which we will touch base on in just a little bit. But I wanted to go see what plants that they have available outside. You can see that this Walmart is nice and full, and I am fortunate to be out in North Dallas, which is where I'm based at, because typically all of our big box stores and local nurseries are always stocked with plants. But you can see it is a beautiful Sunday morning. Although don't let the sun deceive you, it is extremely hot already. It's in the high 90s, and it's only about 9 o'clock when I filmed this. But you can see right here, wax begonias. These used to be $12.97 by Garden Expert, but now they have been reduced to $5, so they're on clearance. These are beautiful plants. With wax begonia, they typically like to be more so in a shaded environment. You can grow them in full sun, but they do best when they are actually in partial sun, partial shade. You can see they've got the green variety here, and then they also have the dark foliage varieties here. These are also for $5. I have this one as well. This is a beautiful wax begonia. Again, this is for $5 on clearance, and you can see that they have white blooms. I really like the white blooms on this particular wax begonia because there's a huge contrast between the white blooms and the dark foliage. I love dark foliage plants. I feel like there is a certain elegance about them. But you can see that with the summer approaching, with hotter weather, it is a little bit more challenging, specifically in my grow zone, which is 8B. Now, the United States is actually going through an extreme heat wave. Part of me believes that this is, possibly the cause of, global warming. Some people don't believe that there's no global warming. I will say, though, in the last couple of years, it has become hotter and hotter, so I'm not 100% sure what's going on with that. But what I do know is the summers in Texas are extremely brutal, and this is the part of, I guess, growing plants that makes it a little bit challenging for me, because I have to water my plants a little bit more often, whether they're outdoors or indoors, just because it is very hot out here. I can run the AC a lot, but at the same time, that still dries up the plants indoors. And from all of my plant shopping videos, I mentioned that one of my my challenges when it is growing plants is the fact that I don't always water my plants. I think part of it is also because I get myself overwhelmed with what's going on with my daily life. You know, I do have a very demanding job, and you know, with YouTube, being able to try to get you guys 1 hour plant shopping videos daily, it is a bit of a challenge, but I am not complaining. It's the one thing I look forward to, believe it or not, is to be able to go out and show you plants like this. Like for instance, these vinca flowers, for instance, beautiful plants, beautiful flowers, very heat resistant and drought tolerant, which is a really good deal, especially in my grow zone, which is 8B. That's the thing about growing plants outdoors. You really want to do your research on the grow zones that you live in. That way you can pick plants that are going to be a little bit more suitable for your climate. But you can see here, this is a succulent type ground cover. That is a portulaca. Love portulacas. They grow very well actually in Texas. And another thing that grows very well is crepe myrtles. So these are the first edition crepe myrtles. This is the Luna Magic. Love the dark foliage on this crepe myrtle, and you can see that the white blooms really contrast well with the dark foliage. Crepe myrtles in North Dallas, they are everywhere, especially in McKinney, Texas, out in Frisco. Crepe myrtles are easy to grow out in North Dallas. I think our climate definitely is suitable for them because they prefer hotter conditions. They love full sun, and they're very drought tolerant. Actually, with crepe myrtles, if you water them too much, or if their leaves and trunk stay too wet, they actually are more susceptible to fungal diseases. So it's always important to keep these crepe myrtles dry. I would say in some areas where you have cherry blossoms or like spring flowers, the best time to really see some beautiful blooms, at least in the North Dallas area, would be summer. If you go all over McKinney, you will see rows and rows of beautiful and mature crepe myrtles. Now, hibiscus, this is the Hibiscus America's Sweetheart. These are the Hibiscus Hollywood series. So these ones, I believe, are for $16.95. This one is America's Sweetheart, and I actually saw the bloom of this one when I went big box store plant shopping at Home Depot. But this one doesn't actually have a bloom yet. And then this one right here, this orange one, is called the Hibiscus Gold Digger. I think that's a funny name, but you can see how beautiful this hibiscus bloom is. Now, the hibiscus we're taking a look at right now are tropical hibiscus. So these hibiscus are not perennial. They also have what they call hardy hibiscus, which have actually shown up a lot in all of the local nursery stores out in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. This one is for $16.88. That is really not a bad price at all. Now, if you're going to grow this hibiscus in this grow zone, you would need to grow these in a container or be prepared for them to be more so of an annual plant if you're going to grow them in your landscape. Annual plants, again, are plants that will only grow through one growing season because they will die off in the spring, or not in the spring, sorry. They actually die off in the winter and then will not come back in the spring. Perennials, however, are plants that will go back in the springtime. So as you can see here, a lot of the plants out in the outdoor section at most of the Walmarts I've visited lately are not nearly as stocked, and I think it's because it is summertime. I think some of the actual planting has slowed down a little bit. So you know, plant foliage, let me know what you think, or if that is also happening in your big box stores. You know, my goal is to actually provide big box store plant shopping videos daily just to see what is available there, and hopefully I've been able to educate you guys on the different varieties of plants that you can find at big box stores. As a plant lover myself, as somebody who grows plants both indoors and outdoors, it's really important for me to just kind of see what's going on with the plants that we have in our big box stores. So you'll see a lot of the same varieties of plants that I feature in my videos, but if you do like looking at plants alongside with me, I hope that you will stay tuned to the very end of this video. You can see here, for instance, we've got some crepe myrtles. This is the crepe myrtle Shadow Magic, and I like the crepe myrtle Shadow Magic as well because if you really look at the leaves, look at how dark the leaves are. It is absolutely stunning, and you can see that it's got some nice red blooms, really nice contrast. I would I actually prefer all three dark foliage varieties of the crepe myrtle plants. You can see here that look at how dark that is. It almost reminds me of like a Raven ZZ color. What a beautiful plant. And what I love about it is these crepe myrtles can take full sun. They love the heat. They are drought tolerant. So if you are in an environment where it's a little bit drier and you need something that's beautiful and flowering in the summertime, I would recommend crepe myrtles. And then you can also see that knockout roses. So roses here, this is another hybrid rose where basically knockout rose is actually more disease resistant. It's self-cleaning. So that means you don't necessarily have to deadhead or cut off the dead blooms for it to keep blooming. It is a profuse bloomer. And then as I walk over here, you'll see a couple of more succulents. So a lot of the succulents have actually sold through at this location, but you can see this is a large aloe vera plant, $24.48. Really nice looking aloe vera plant. And again, as I'm learning more about succulents and cacti, I didn't realize that there were so many different varieties of aloe vera plant. You can see these are assorted succulents. These are for $6.96. So I'm just going to show you the plant ID there. You can see that this is a nice looking one as well. It almost looks like a chrysala or jade plant, but this one is not a chrysala jade plant. I like that. I want to get more so into succulents. The only thing about succulents is I'm not 100% sure on like which succulents can really take a lot of heat. I just assume that all succulents can just be grown out in full sun. Apparently that is not the case. And I really learned that quickly when I put some of my beautiful Aeonium succulents out in full sun, and they ended up just kind of frying and dying. So I bought some Aeonium succulents, the Aeonium kiwi succulents, out at a local plant nursery called North Haven Gardens. They're actually growing on the west facing window in my bedroom, and they get a lot of light. They're doing fine right now, but I just know that there's a little bit more research I need to do for some of these succulents. You know, my plant foldies, and if you are new to my channel, I call my viewers and subscribers plant foldies. I know some of you guys have really requested that I show you guys more succulents. There are a variety of different types of plants I want to show you. Obviously, indoor tropical plants, aeroids to philodendrons, all of those typical house plants that you'll see. But I do want to show more succulents and cactus because there is a demand for that. And I've had requests about seeing more of like the products I use for my plants, whether it's planters or fertilizers. So stay tuned for that. I did take note on that specifically from one of my most loyal plant foldies, Kathy from Canada. I've got you, lady. I got you covered. I've got some more of these, you know, some of these requests that you've asked, especially with the plant products I use. So stay tuned for that. You can see over here, though, we have some oleander. So I do like oleander. When I was actually out in California, oleanders were literally growing on the sides of the roads. They do need full sun. That is a very toxic and poisonous plant. However, you don't want to get the sap on your hands. You definitely don't want to ingest any piece of that plant because it is very toxic. So just FYI on that, there are some plants, even though they are in a store easily accessible for people, you want to make sure that you are doing research. That is one plant that is highly toxic. Here is some Asiatic jasmine. I'm growing some of those in containers in the hopes to grow them as like a trailing house plant. And then I love variegated ajuga. Not sure why, they almost look like vegetables. And then you can see over here, we've got a bunch of assorted ground covers. And of course, this can't be a Grow Folds video without featuring a Hedera helix. Or the correct way to say it is Hedera helix, or in English, ivy. This is for $4.37. And you already know with Hedera helix, that is an easy to care for plant when you grow it outside. It is probably the most difficult or challenging plant to grow indoors because I have seen many people fail growing English ivy indoors because they're so spider mite prone. For some reason, if you don't stay on top of the watering, if you don't stay on top of the humidity levels indoors, English ivy just don't do well. Now I have two Hedera helix growing outdoors in my front patio, and they're doing just fine. But I just remember taking 14 English ivy into my care, and all 14 of them have made it to plant heaven. It's really disappointing because I really do love English ivy. And the reason why I talk about English ivy, the reason why it has become sort of like a staple or some type of joke on the channel is because I just can't get the plant care down, and it's one of those things where it is a challenge and I want to conquer that challenge. So plant folies, let me know if you are actually growing Hedera helix or English ivy. I love the look of English ivy, especially the different variegations on them, also the different species of English ivy that they have. There's just so many varieties. I mean, I can talk about English ivy all day, and I might do that for another special video, but for now I did want to show you this red apple. Like, this is some type of succulent ground cover for $4.37. And, you know, when I was looking at this a couple weeks back, it was definitely not in bloom. So I find it interesting that as summer comes around, some plants have started to bloom. You know, crepe myrtles, you'll see that everywhere, but even this ground cover, it would be amazing to see this full of blooms, these red blooms. I do find them endearing. Look at that. That is so cute. Really like that a lot. And then if you touch the leaves on this particular one, it does feel like a succulent. It almost feels like a portulaca. So like plant foliage, let me know if you've actually grown that succulent type plant as a ground cover. And then obviously we've got some more variegated ajuga here. I do like the variegated ajuga. It is a thirsty plant, but when I'm growing them outdoors, they can actually tolerate a lot of different lighting conditions. Like one I'm growing in full sun, and then the other one I'm growing in almost full sun, and it's doing very well. It's actually getting some beautiful purple and pink variegation. I find that this plant actually gets better variegation or colors when it is exposed to a little bit more light. And I can say that a lot with a lot of plants. So if you're looking for a plant to give you the best coloration, more bright indirect light or just light in general is really gonna give you the best coloration for a lot of plants. Now here it is another ajuga plant. This is for $4.37. Really like the dark foliage of this one right here. It's got a really nice texture to the leaves. I actually need to go ahead and buy one of those. And if you see it right next to the ajuga variegated version, you can see that this one has a unique look in terms of just the dark foliage. I am hoping that perhaps this plant will go on clearance as well as the season progresses. And that's the thing, plant folies. My biggest advice is, especially on how to get cheap plants, is to just constantly frequent your big box stores, specifically Walmart, because there are several different plant vendors that actually go in and mark down the prices. I know that this is my go-to place, for instance, if I want to get some cheap philodendron pink princess. And I say this because they always get a lot of philodendron pink princess, philodendron white princess, and just a lot of these rare philodendrons, or I wouldn't even say rare anymore. Some philodendrons that used to be rare, they have marked them down to as low as $5. And so I don't really buy the plants full price unless I know that it's a plant that I really want. But if you're gonna ask me if I would buy like a philodendron ring of fire, philodendron pink princess, philodendron white princess, I would definitely refrain from doing so, because I know in maybe another 2 to 3 weeks, all of the plants that I'm going to feature in a later part of this video will most likely go on clearance, because there's just not enough volume for these plants to be sold through. At least there's not as much interest to sell through them. I am interested in these penta plants though. Those are beautiful pentas plants or star cluster flowers. And then we also have some beautiful vincas right over here. Now vincas are really easy to grow in Texas because they do prefer hotter conditions and they love full sun. So this is for $17.97, right? Or $17.88. I'm sorry, $17.88 here by Garden Expert. Now, a lot of the plants that are sourced out to Walmart are taken care of by Altman Plants. I've been able to talk to a couple of the plant vendors that take care of the plants here. And so I just like the fact that they are very diligent about, keeping plants healthy. I've seen a lot of their plant vendors watering their plants, clearancing out plants that may not necessarily be in the best health, in the hopes of trying to push them to somebody that will actually take care of them. But you can also see that these Walmarts right here also have some very specific Texas plants that will grow in Texas climate, and I really like that. Now you can see over here we've got a bunch of flowers. Those are the impatient flowers. Impatiens do need to be in shade. And so now plant foldies, we're gonna walk over here and take a look at some of their house plants, indoor tropical plants. A lot of these plants, I don't know if they've necessarily gotten a restock, but I will say they do keep these plants organized. I'm super excited that this Walmart is very accessible to me. You know, I'm based out in this area. This is literally like a 6-minute drive from where I'm based at, and that's the reason why I often feature this Walmart, because it's easily accessible and you can never get tired of looking at plants. For those that continue to go actually watch my plant shopping videos at big box stores, I really appreciate it. Your viewership means a lot to me, and the fact that you guys continue to build onto our community on the live premiere chats is amazing. You can see here too that this is an alocasia I saw the last time I visited it, and you can see that this has a lot of alocasia babies that have actually come up from corms. I would venture to say there's about 4 to 5 alocasia plants in here. Now this one is for $17.57. You know, this is that fancy alocasia. I'm not 100% sure which variety of alocasia that is, but I will say this one right here is an Alocasia cuprea, and it's another alocasia I've really thought about adding to my collection, but alocasias haven't done so well for me, and that's really for me being so negligent. You know, I don't really just water my plants, and you know, with alocasia they cannot really be underwatered, or a plant that you don't you know, necessarily water. You want to make sure that you stay on top of the watering. I do find this Alocasia cuprea beautiful. Look at the dark foliage on it, and this used to be a very sought after alocasia, a very expensive alocasia, but you know that was like what, 2 to 3 years ago, and now you can see them at big box stores. That's the exciting part about big box store plant shopping, is you will be able to find plants that used to be very expensive now at a decent price. Like you can even see here Philodendron Pink Princess. This is one I saw last time. This one has decent variegation as well. This one is for $24.47, I believe. Yep, I think that is for actually no, that is. Yeah, that is for $19.97. So it's interesting that this has a little bit of a different price point. Philodendron Pink Princess, you really want to find one that has a lot more pink variegation, because Philodendron Pink Princess, it's not really the amount of light you provide it. Sure, if you provide it with more light, it's going to be more vigorous, but as far as the variegation is more so on its initial genetics. And I would say the same thing with the Philodendron Ring of Fire. Like, take a look at this right here. This is a beautiful specimen of Philodendron Ring of Fire. I've got a couple of Philodendron Ring of Fire. As a matter of fact, I may pot up some of my Ring of Fires tonight on a poll. I bought a bunch of these actually here, and these are for $24.47, but I got these on clearance for $7 at this particular Walmart. So again, it's all about patience. It's all about waiting it out. I know that I am going so broke with all of the plant shopping videos I've been doing. You got to think, I'm literally in a big box store or a local nursery every single day. And you know, that's because I want to give you guys that content. I don't really see a lot of other plant YouTubers really doing daily plant shopping videos. So all I ask is, if you guys are watching this video or have made it this far, please make sure you are hitting the like button. Please, please, please hit that like button for me. I appreciate all of the plant foldies, especially Luke, Travis, Kathy, telling people on the live premiere chats to hit the like button. I can't tell you enough how much it helps the channel grow, because when somebody hits the like button for this video, it is actually pushed out to more plant lovers like yourself, as well as leaving comments. I will tell you, Alfred from Canada, for instance, you leave so many comments, as well as Terry. Thank you, ma'am, for leaving so many comments about Hedera Helix or Hedra Helix. Keep it coming. I love seeing like 100+ comments per video. So that's like one of my goals to see. So hopefully you guys can help me with that. But as you can see here, Sunday morning, looking at beautiful plants. What better way to start out your Sunday morning by looking at big box store plants? As you can see here, all of these plants is, there's a whole collection of different types of philodendron. We've got a bunch of alocasia, and just look at that. Look at how beautiful that Ring of Fire is. This is another ring of fire, and I do like that they've upgraded it, or actually updated their planter that they put it in. I love modern, contemporary, very simple matte finishes when it comes to planters. I love displaying my plants that way, and so I like this. I even like the simplistic shape on it. I'm not necessarily a fan of a lot of like patterns or like different colors on planters. I prefer them to be a little bit more simple. And then you can see here, look at how beautiful that coloration is on the philodendron ring of fire. Again, this was another plant that I would say 3 to 4 years ago was extremely expensive. I mean, it was definitely in the 3-digit range, and now you can find them at a Walmart out in North McKinney, Texas, off of Custer Road. And what's interesting is I am so flattered and honored that I've been able to help some of my local plant foldies, the ones that live out in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, get some of their wish list plants through my videos. So that's why I make an attempt to actually tell you the details of where I specifically find these plants. That way you're able to go out and, you know, maybe get some of the plants you want. Over here, this is a cuddly cactus, and it is a beautiful cactus, but I quickly learned that the cuddly cactus actually, as it grows, actually has little prickly needles, because I touched this one right here like that hurt. And there was actually needles there, so it is interesting. I've never really seen new growth on a cuddly cactus. It's not as cuddly as you think. Either way, this is for $14.97. It is a cute looking cactus. It's one that doesn't really look like a real plant, but it definitely is. And then over here, I eventually will get this. This is a flame violet or an especia. Now this one is a Costafar's exotic angel plant for $4.97. So the thing I want to do is, when I come back from the Philippines, I definitely want to revamp my plant room. I started my plant room and then I totally neglected it. I have a lot of my plants actually out in my kitchen and living room area. I was able to make little islands of spaces of plant clusters. I eventually will do a house plant tour. It seems like that is a high demand. I just want to make sure that my house is in order for YouTube. So please stay tuned to that, as well as my coleus plant collection tour. I definitely will have that available for you no later than after the Philippines. And for those who haven't been watching my videos, my name is Richie, and actually my family is from the Philippines, and that is the reason why I talk a lot about Filipino culture and things that are related to the Philippines. Super excited to be going to the Philippines on June 27th, which is next week. Which comes back to the whole fact that I do have a lot of plant shopping videos already scheduled out. You'll see a lot of plant marathons, plant shopping compilations. So hopefully you guys will still tune in while I'm on vacation. I was really stressed about whether everybody was still going to engage with my plant shopping videos while I was gone, because clearly I wouldn't be able to like film 18 new episodes. I just don't have the time when you think about how long each video takes, you know, to do something like this where I'm filming, you know, these beautiful succulents, for instance. It takes about an hour, the drive time, which isn't that much, but also to edit and also put the plant IDs. You'll notice that some of my videos may not have plant IDs, but I do my very best to get you guys plant IDs, because I feel like you guys appreciate that. I know that I've been giving a lot of feedback that it does educate people on the different types of varieties of plants. Now, when it comes to this though, like these succulents, I don't know all of the succulent names as much as I do with, say, other outdoor plants, or even you know, all of the indoor tropical plants. Now, I will say this is one of my favorite crassulas. This is a crassula obliqua tricolor, beautiful plant as well. It's another plant that if you sun stress it or you give it a lot more light, it's going to give you better coloration. You'll see more of the yellows. You'll see the edges of the leaves have a little bit more pink or red. And that's the beauty about succulent type plants. Same thing can be said about Hoyas. And then over here is one of my favorite alocasias. This is an Alocasia Milo Light. Now, if you touch the leaves, they literally feel like leather. It's got such a thick leaf. It almost feels like a succulent as well, and how thick the leaves are. Now, this is another Alocasia that I ended up buying earlier this season. I didn't do so well with it because I ended up just not watering it, and I didn't realize that Alocasia don't do very well when you underwater them. So, you know, lesson learned, and that's the reason why Every day I do my plant shopping videos to kind of tell you my insights and just my personal thoughts about just anything, whether it's really plant related. Most of it will be plant related, but I utilize this plant shopping video as more of like a personal blog as well, because I want you guys to get to know me a little bit better. Over here, we've got a philodendron ring of fire. This one is also for $24.47. That's got some good variegation. And I'm actually curious, plant foldies, do you own a ring of fire? Have you bought one from Walmart? What are your thoughts about some of the philodendron that have been released out this season? Is it your cup of tea? I like to know, and so if you guys can, please leave a comment in the comments section. I'd really appreciate it, just because, again, I love that engagement that I get from the plant shopping videos, and I will respond to each and every one of y'all. I decided that I wasn't gonna postpone my variegated domesticanum philodendron giveaway on Instagram. I will be announcing the winner tomorrow, so if you have Instagram and you want some more free entries, please go to my Instagram at growfold and make sure you find the reel with the actual giveaway. You can tag as many people as you want. Today you'll get double entry, so for every tag you'll get 2 more tickets put into the random drawing. So please make sure you follow that and see if you'll win. I know that I was able to send out that Thai constellation. I plan on doing many more plant giveaways when I come back from the Philippines. I know that I have a philodendron ring of fire that I definitely want to give out as a free plant giveaway. So again, plant foldies, if you get a chance, please make sure you're following me on Instagram. But as you can see here, you know, this Walmart typically has a lot of plants just stored up. You can see that we've got a bunch of Epipremnum aureum, golden pothos. Gotta love that golden pothos, because golden pothos, for just some reason, it is just such an easy plant. It is a plant that I would recommend for anybody that wants to grow plants. It's an easy to care for plant. It's another plant that you can propagate and get many cuttings from. I actually have a couple of propagations and cuttings that I need to do for this, to actually plant into the soil. The only thing about Epipremnum aureum or pothos plants is, again, they can tolerate being underwatered, but if you don't water them long enough, they do decline in health. And I would say that about any plant. Now, this plant right here I'm picking up is a Dracaena. I think this is a Dracaena lemon lime. Now, this is a plant that can tolerate being underwatered for quite a bit of time, as in, like, it almost is like a succulent in its tolerance for drought. So that is another plant that is very underrated. I don't know why some people don't find interest in this Dracaena. Like, this one right here is for $9.97. This is a Dracaena Dorado, and you can see how vigorous the roots have already come out of the drainage holes. This is another beautiful plant, and the thing about Dracaenas is they can not only tolerate lower light conditions, they're drought tolerant, they can actually grow fairly large as well. And so if you have like a dark space in your household, this is another plant that you can definitely take care of and add into your collection, which is what I really like. I have a couple of Dracaenas. I always joke around and ask you guys whether I'm a plant influencer or not. Truth be told, I don't have, thousands and thousands of followers. I'm still trying to get 10,000 followers. So we've been sitting at 300 more followers. We'll get to 10,000 subscribers. But I will say my agenda is to influence our plant foldies to look at certain plants that might be underrated. This is a beautiful anthurium, for instance. I love that anthurium. This is for $4.97. You will need to make sure you provide it with a lot of bright light in order for it to do very well. But when you look at certain plants, we can look at this. This is a plant I feel like everybody should get. So if you are a plant foldie and you follow me, everybody go ahead and go to a big box store, buy yourself this Dracaena Janet Craig compacta. It is an easy to care for plant. It is a plant I would recommend because it can get up to 3 to 4 feet in height. It can, it's just such a beautiful plant. And so my thing is, I want to influence you guys to look at plants that are just, besides the philodendrons, besides these rare aroids. Like, I would love for everybody to get into like coleus plants. I know some people have actually bought coleus plants by watching my videos, but even like looking at this Dracaena lemon lime, for instance, I would hope that people would get into the Dracaena lemon limes, coleus plants, and aglaonemas. Like aglaonemas, I haven't talked nearly as extensively about aglaonemas, but that is another plant species species that I absolutely love. Don't get me wrong, like I love philodendron white princess, for instance, or philodendrons in general. I actually added a philodendron gloriosum. Yesterday I wasn't planning on it, but you know, sometimes a plant will talk to you even though you have the, you know, you want to have the restraint to not buy any more plants. But again, it is all about, you know, maybe getting exposed to different types of plants. I know for the majority, whenever you look at like social media, for instance, if you're on Instagram, you'll see all of these rare variegated philodendrons. And then sometimes you don't really see like even the easy care for common plants like coleus plants. You'll see that beautiful philodendron ring of fire, for instance, and then as beautiful as it is, and it's actually an easy to care for plant, I just feel like plant foldies, there is just more to plants than we see on social media or we see people growing. So hopefully, as you guys continue to watch my videos, you guys will get more exposed to different types of plants. Maybe just my personal favorites. You know, I am biased. You know, I like what I like, and certain plants I may not also be into. Like I've been told that, you know, some people may not be into succulents. I totally get it. I wasn't as into succulents until recently, actually. Just looking at some of the succulents, I did think, maybe I can get into succulents, because certain succulents, for instance, have beautiful pink coloration, and I love pink plants. Like that's a beautiful philodendron pink princess. And again, with philodendron pink princess plant foldies, you have to make sure that you find a philodendron pink princess that already has good variegation. Because if you find one that doesn't have a lot of variegation, and I can say this from experience, I've actually had one that was mostly burgundy with some splotches of pink. I literally let it grow under a grow light for 24 hours and it would just not push out any more variegation. So it is about the initial genetics, at least for that. Now these are Ficus lyrata or fiddle fig leaf trees. Love that as well. It is a finicky plant. It is another plant that I say thrives on consistency. Actually, most ficus plants, and I say this in all my videos, they need consistency. So whether it is being placed in an area where they're not going to get moved around a lot, because if you grow a Ficus lyrata or fiddle fig leaf and you move it around your house, it'll definitely drop its leaves. It also needs to make sure it has consistent like a watering schedule. So if you're going to water it once a week, water it once a week. You don't want to water it once a week and then all of a sudden fall behind your schedule and water it, because it will get unhappy and it will drop its leaves. I've seen it. I've done it. It's, I mean, I'm speaking from experience. So just little things like that help with the plant. Now, these ones right here, though, these large foliage plants. So I showed you a Dieffenbachia, which is a little bit more challenging of a plant, right next to a Dracaena, which is an easy to care for plant. Now, these are also for $19.84. Walmart is probably by far one of the most cost-effective places to buy plants holistically. I would say grocery stores like H-E-B. So H-E-B is only available in Texas, probably have cheaper plants. But for the most part, Walmarts in general have inexpensive plants. Like take a look at this Dieffenbachia and look at how beautiful that leaf is. Now with Dieffenbachia, what makes them more challenging is they do require bright light. If you don't provide them the light, they tend to get leggy and they just tend to get unhappy very quickly. So that's the reason why I don't grow Dieffenbachia. I have two Dieffenbachia. I have a Dieffenbachia Cool Beauty, which I got on sale at Kroger for $16.99. It's probably the cheapest place to buy trending tropicals, Costa Farms plants is Kroger grocery store. So if you have a Kroger grocery store in your area, I would recommend frequenting it and checking out what trending tropical plants that they have. But you can see here, beautiful Monstera deliciosa right here. Love Monstera deliciosa. And I did want to do a plug for those that like Monstera deliciosas. Please check out my friend Janae Simone's YouTube channel. She has been more consistent about posting more plant content. She has some phenomenal plant work. I love her editing. I love her commentary, and just her monsteras, which she names is really interesting as well. So I hope everybody can check that out, as well as my friend Steven at I Lift Plants. Y'all already know Steven is a certified plant foldie. Let's help his channel grow. Let's help Janae's channel grow. We are having a podcast collab series soon, so hopefully you guys will tune into that. But as you can see here, this is an example of an Epipremna alplissimum that has not been watered, and it's sad because you know, they're in self-watering planters. That one's for $19.84. I really like the look of this. And thank you to my plant foldie, Gloria, that I met not too long ago in person randomly. She gifted me a Epipremna alplissimum plant. Really appreciate that. I really love it, and it is growing very well for me so far. So that's the thing, plant foldies, is, you know, whenever you go to a big box stores, I think the most frustrating and sad part about going to a big box store is seeing some of the plants get neglected. I have been told that I've been a little bit too critical of big box stores. Admittedly, I am, and that's because I'm very passionate about the plants. I feel like if there was a lot of time invested in growing the plants, getting them into the soil, sourcing them out, putting them on a truck, getting them unloaded to be put on a shelf, the last thing they need to end up in is this. Like this one right here is a plant that I saw about a week ago, and now it's just kind of mushy. This is an Alocasia Regina. Really love this Alocasia as well, but you can see that one is starting to decline in health. I will say Costa Farms Trending Tropical Plants though are owned by Walmart. I think they don't have a plant vendor that clearances them out. So part of me just wishes that this, you know, Walmarts would be a little bit more diligent about just clearancing out their plants. Perhaps some of their plants will actually move if they clearance them out. That's just my personal opinion. You know, let me know in the comments what you think, plant foldies, but it is just a little bit disheartening to see that certain plants just decline in health. These are looking super healthy though. Love that Monstera Peru. I'm looking for a variegated Monstera Peru though. I think it'd be really interesting. I am excited though, when you talk about variegated plants, to be going to PlantCon 2024 in Dallas on August 31st, September 1st. It will be such a fun time. I went to the Houston one, and if you haven't seen that PlantCon 2024 video, the Houston one I did, please check it out in some of my older videos here. I've got some playlists, and that actually goes back to the whole thing. For those that, you know, watch my plants and not, you know, my plant shopping videos and just have me talking in the background, feel free to go to my playlist and binge my videos. I would love that, especially if you're just looking to hear somebody talk about plants. So just a suggestion for that. But plant foldies, you can see here so many plants, and actually I enjoyed this Walmart, to be honest, just because while some of their plants may not be as healthy, I do love the fact that they still keep a very full plant. Like you can see, you know, plant selection. You can see here like this Ficus Audrey. Really love the look of this Ficus Audrey. And if you notice the Ficus Audrey, or most ficus plants, if you chop the top of the plant off, it will promote more branching. You can see that the top of that plant was cut, and you can see that there is another side shoot here. This is a unique plant because it can get extremely large, and then the leaves are very velvety and textured. So I really like that a lot. And you can see here we've got some Monstera Stadliana, or what they call the Monstera Cobra. And then you can see here we've got some more beautiful Monstera Perus, or what they call Green Galaxy, or that's what Costa Farms calls them. Either way, this is another plant that you can let trail, but actually if you let it grow up a totem pole or moss pole, the leaves will get larger. I love the texture of this leaf, and this is another example of a plant that has a lot of just beauty being green. You know, a lot of times we don't always look at the plants that are green. We look for the variegated plants. I typically go for plants that have a lot of colors. That's the reason why I love aglaonemas. I love syngoniums. I love coleus plants. Oh my gosh, I'm in love with coleus plants. Unfortunately, this, you know, there were no coleus outdoors. It looks like a lot of these coleus are starting to kind of phase out as summertime hits. But you can see here, Ficus Audrey, love this, for $14.97 in a self-watering planter. You can see that it's starting to branch out. I remember buying a Ficus Audrey from Walmart about 3 years ago for $5, and now it is extremely large. It's actually super neglected in my backyard. I have it growing in a big planter, a 12-inch planter that I need to go ahead and repot, probably chop up and see if I can actually revitalize it, because it is a full-blown tree now. If you ever want to see a large Ficus Audrey full grown, if you see my video that features Plant Keeper Incorporated, that's another local Dallas plant nursery. Definitely check that video out. They have some large foliage plants that are in their full maturity. And then over here is a hanging basket of philodendron cordatum, beautiful philodendron. Also, some people will call this philodendron heteroraceum, just a green variety. This one is for $19.84 in an Exotic Angels hanging basket by Costa Farms. And I have to give Costa Farms credit. I love that Costa Farms does provide us with so many beautiful plants. I just hope that Costa Farms can continue to push more plants, especially that Monstera constellation. I am looking for a Costa Farms Monstera constellation. I haven't been lucky enough to do it. Not that I don't have enough Monstera constellations. I've got several. I actually have a rooted cutting that has been sitting in water and has been propagated that I need to pot up. There's a couple of plants I actually want to pot up. While I am excited to be going to the Philippines, you know, in the next 4 days, I'll be flying out. I have honestly been a little bit stressed, plant foldies. Today has been a little bit stressful for me. You know, when I'm at work, I'm definitely at work. But then even when I'm not at work, my work kind of pours in. And there's just so many things that I need to think about when it comes to like what I have to do the next couple of days. So one solution I've told myself is after I edit this video and get it up for our live premiere tonight is I'm gonna go take some plants and just pot them up and just get some plant therapy. So plant foldies, let me know if you utilize plant care as like plant therapy to really just help with your stresses or mental health. I mean, I think even looking at plants like this is a beautiful, it says a global green pothos, but I don't think this is a global green pothos. I think this is an Epipremnum aureum lemon meringue pothos. Look at how beautiful that variegation is. But even looking at plants, for me, potting up plants is very relaxing. And that's what I plan to do. But you can see this is a pothos plant that they're the same plant, but notice how on the left side that particular plant had better lighting conditions, therefore it had better variegation versus the other one that has more of a green color. So with lemon meringue pothos, again, this is another example of a plant that needs more light. The more light you provided, the better variegation it's gonna pop off and give you. So that's just, you know, things that we want to keep take a look at in order for us to really have that best variegation. I learned that the hard way because I thought that, you know, certain plants that won't revert, but the one, the lemon meringue pothos I bought not too long ago ended up becoming more so green, and I'm struggling to get that variegation to come back. Here's another beautiful Scindapsus moonlight, Trubii moonlight, another plant that is easy to care for. Love that silver blue color. Now, if you want that silver blue color to really stick, this is another plant that you need to give bright indirect light to really give that variegation or that coloration. And here's another one as well. I think when I come back from the Philippines, this is another plant that I would love to just add to my collection because it is an easy care for plant. You know, I'm all about those easy care for plants that aren't necessarily rare, but also bring me joy because they're easy to care for. Nothing is, there's like not a better feeling than to look at like a plant and see like new leaves unfurling, seeing a plant just consistently growing for you. Raven ZZ, that's another plant that I love, easy to care for plant. I ended up buying 3 Raven ZZs for $7 because they ended up clearancing them out. And in today, they are getting extremely large. And this is another plant that I would say work well for people who are super busy, who may not have the best lighting conditions. And you can see here, look at this. This is a Raven ZZ that, branch that fell off. And then I noticed that there is another ZZ plant here. Truthfully, I could ask the staff if I could just take these home because they're going to end up just throwing that away and putting, and taking it home, putting it in water and water propagating it. You know, I saw that one YouTube video called How to Get Free Plants. And it was like plant, what is it called? I forgot what it was called. It was like plant stealing or something like that, but it's not necessarily stealing. Prop lifting, where it's like you got like a cutting and then you just propagate it and all of that. But again, that is another interesting YouTube video if you guys haven't checked that out. Now, plant foldies, check this out. This is an Aglaonema red Siam. Really love the look of this as well. This is another Aglaonema that is easy to care for. Aglaonemas are so underrated. If you've been watching my videos and you haven't bought one of these, please do. Maybe the next day when you go plant shopping. Let's all have Aglaonemas in our plant collection as well. here's another beautiful Aglaonema red siam. I love the pink stems on the Aglaonema red siam. Now this is another Aglaonema that if you give it a lot of bright indirect light, you'll get some better coloration. And then over here, we've got a beautiful Begonia maculata. This is for $19.84. It's another Costa Farms trending tropical plant. This has a little bit of cosmetic damage, but I still find this a beautiful plant because if you look at it, look at how beautiful the polka dots are on this particular angel wing begonia. It does need a stake because it likes to grow up, but it is another beautiful plant. My grandmother ended up propagating this for me, so I got a free plant. And again, plant foldies, if you want to save money on plants, it's easy for us to go to a big box store and want to buy plants, but if you are part of like a Facebook page or a community like maybe Grow Folds, you may be able to like share cuttings or even share plant propagations. In the future, I'd like to do like plant meetups, plant swaps, things of that nature, but it just really depends on where this channel goes. I know that we've got such a strong and positive community, and so I'm hoping to be able to have more plants accessible to different types of people. That way, you know, you can save some money. I know I am all about saving money when it comes to plants. You know, whenever I think about the amount of money I've spent already for doing these plant shopping videos, I kind of look back and think, you know, what if I just ended up like getting a plant from somebody else through a plant propagation, maybe sharing cuttings, etc. So that is also in the works. I have a lot of ideas. So plant foldies, just let me know in the comments section what other ideas you want in terms of how our community is growing, what kind of features you want to see. If you want to see a plant meetup, just let me know. I'd really like to hear your thoughts. You can see here too for $14.97, we've got a beautiful Sansevieria trifasciata or a snake plant, beautiful plant as well. And then you notice that a lot of these plants are, they look okay. I wouldn't say that they're necessarily the most healthy looking plants, but for a big box store like Walmart, they're doing okay. I am gonna walk over here and look at this one table as well. So it looks like they've got some anthuriums, they've got some ponytail palms, they've got some ZZ plants. They've got this anthurium here. I love anthuriums. They're an easy to care for plant. It's another plant I feel like people will actually overlook. You know, when you think of anthuriums, you think of those super hybrid, beautiful looking anthuriums that are super rare and expensive. But even this blooming floral anthurium, I just feel like people should get more into. And then you can see right here, bromeliads. I've learned to like bromeliads. I have one bromeliad in my plant collection and it actually hasn't given me any stresses. So that's a, you know, that's a plus. I feel like this bromeliad though would be more up to my speed. I love that red tone on it and it just looks like somebody spray painted color. And then I'm going to show you guys some sago palms. So these are for $14.97. Sago palms can actually get extremely large. I really like the look of sago palms. They do require a lot of light. You know, it is a palm, so whenever you think of palm type plants or palms, they need a lot of bright light. But I did want to pull this out and show you how cool a sago palm's like new growth is. So before the leaves unfurl, you can see how the base is really just nice and thick. But as I go up here and show you this, look at that. It's got some like new leaves coming up, but it goes up like a point and then it just curls back down and gets large. I think that's such a cool way of you know, unfurling leaves. And that's the thing about it. Like, I love seeing new growth on plants. I have a couple of new leaves unfurling on some of my monstera and some of my philodendron, and that really does bring me a lot of joy. It's like the subtle things that plants do, like that new leaf unfurling, that really bring me joy. And then you can see here another Aglaonema red siam. I really think you guys should get an Aglaonema red siam for $14.97 at Walmart. Definitely want to check that out. Again, it is another easy to care for plant. It's a plant that you can actually neglect, and I can speak from experience. Any other plant that I've neglected that wasn't in Aglaonema would have died, but you know, Aglaonemas are very resistant. And then you can see right here, this is a Calathea rospicta Love this. I ended up getting this particular calathea actually at this Walmart. I took the soil out and now it's just growing in hydroponics or straight water. And then you can see right over here, this is some more Epipremnum aureum, lemon meringue pothos. It's got some really nice variegation on it. And as I pan away, we've got some fiddle fig leaves as well as some Monstera deliciosos right here. Beautiful green foliage, nice foliage. These are for $24.47. I ended up buying a Monstera from this Walmart as well. And you can see right here, you can see that new leaf that is about to unfurl from this Ficus lyrata or fiddle fig leaf. Never get tired of Epipremnum aureum golden pothos. This is in a hanging basket for $10.97. That's not a bad price at all. And again, that goes to show that Walmart has some really cost-effective, budget-saving plants. You can see here we've got a spider plant, Bonnie spider plant. This is the curly spider plant, really cool looking one as well for $19.84. I'd love to add a spider plant to my collection. I think those are so cool. The only thing about spider plants is if you're gonna water them, you wanna water them with purified or distilled water. Their leaves tend to get like brown points if you water them with just tap water. Over here, we've got a teddy bear vine. It looks like a velvet version of a Tradescanthia. What another beautiful plant. Now, this plant can get a little bit leggy. And so when the plant starts to show signs of legginess, I would just trim it back. You can actually take the trimmings and put them in water and propagate them and get some more free plants. But that'll keep it from actually getting leggy. And then this one right here is a pink wave Fittonia. I don't have any Fittonias in my collection because Fittonias by nature like their soil to be a little bit more moist and wet, and I just don't water my plants. Although I will say it's going to be easier for me to water a lot of my plants in my kitchen and living room area because I just got my sink redone. So I have a huge like one compartment sink to where I can just put the plants and then just water them from the sink. So I have been doing that all day today as well in between editing this video. So hopefully that improves my watering my watering routine. Here we've got another peperomia. This is a peperomia teardrop. I like the variegated version of this one, but again, this is another plant that I would love to add to my collection. You know, there's a lot of plants that I want to add to my collection. Like this one right here, I'm not 100% sure what the plant ID for this plant is. It looks like some type of ground cover type plant. This is another one for $19.84. So plant foldies, let me know in the comments if you know this particular plant ID, but this is another Costa Farms exotic angel plant. You know, Costa Farms just has so many cool plants that they always release. I would love for Costa Farms to release a list of their Hydra, Helix, plants that they've released out in the big box stores. I know there's one particular Lowe's that has a lot of Hedera Helix or English Ivy, and that's another place I would like to visit before I go on vacation to film. So check that video out if I'm able to get it. And then you can see right here, we've got some Phalaenopsis orchids on clearance for $2. Now, I would totally buy these clearance Phalaenopsis orchids. Like these ones are for $10. And the only reason why they're on clearance is because the blooms are about to go. So that means you'll just have just like the foliage of the Phalaenopsis orchid. I have a variegated Phalaenopsis orchid. I love the look of my variegated Phalaenopsis orchid. It is another plant that once the blooms go, you can actually repot it. I actually repotted mine actually while it's still in bloom, but ideally, if you're gonna repot a Phalaenopsis orchid or any type of orchid, you wanna wait until all of the blooms are spent. They definitely don't wanna be planted in soil. You have to plant Phalaenopsis orchids or orchids in orchid bark or an orchid bark mix. The best mix that I would recommend is buying them from Lowe's called Better Grow Orchid Mix. It's another orchid mix that I actually mix into my soil when I actually repot some of my plants because it makes it a little bit more chunky. But yes, there are some clearance orchids as well. So if you want some cheap orchids, this is the Walmart to go to. And then you can see here, they've got quite a bit of outdoor plants still. And then look at this beautiful Monstera leaf right here. Now, I'm just going to take a little bit more time to show you some of the plant merchandising they have. I love how they have all of these large foliage plants right here. We've got some Majesty palms here for $24.97. Now with Majesty palms, they are literally at any big box store. I'm not really into palms because number one, palms need a lot of light. And then number two, they just take up a lot of space. And I feel like if I'm gonna have a plant take up a lot of space, I would rather invest in a plant that has more interest than a palm. Now, no offense to anybody who's into palms. If you love palms, more power to you, but this is just my personal plant aesthetics. I prefer something like a Monstera deliciosa, like one that would just get really large rather than a the Majesty palm. And you can see here they've got a ton of beautiful monsteras, and you can see here they've got a spathiphyllum or peace lily that just needs to be watered. That is a super dramatic plant, but if you water that plant, it will literally resurrect itself from the dead and come back to life. I'm so serious. It's just such a dramatic plant. But you can see here, these Monstera deliciosas, I really hope people will buy them. I've seen a lot of these just go down, in the trash, but it's such a beautiful plant. And you got to think all of these plants took a while to grow. So that's the reason why I do plant shopping videos, to just get more people excited about plants. So if you're like a first time plant parent, definitely go to big box stores and check out some of the plants I'm featuring, like the Monstera deliciosa right here. Easy to care for plant. It is a plant though that will require some more space as it gets larger because it can get extremely large. You can see though like beautiful leaves that they have over here unfurling, and I have seen some really nice mature versions of a Monstera deliciosa in people's homes. It's a very stylish plant. It is a plant that just brings you a lot of joy, even if it's not variegated, or I feel like even the non-variegated monsteras are amazing. I have 2 so far, and I'm hoping that I can get mine to grow a little bit larger. And then you can see right here, this is another Epipremnum aureum golden pothos. This one right here has an interesting all white leaf, and it looks like the next leaf that's growing out is going to be white as well. I always find it interesting how random variegation is, and you can see that they have like a whole shoot that doesn't really have a lot of leaves as well. But for the most part, this Walmart here has just a lot of beautiful plants. So plant foldies, let me know in the comments what you think so far of all the plants I've featured here. Would you buy this Monstera deliciosa? And would you actually buy some of these ZZ plants? So we've got ZZ plants here, just a regular green ZZ plants, and then we also have some Raven ZZ plants. These plants, again, don't need to be watered as often. Actually, if you overwater them, that's really the fastest way to kill them. They are almost indestructible plants. They can tolerate lower light conditions. They're not as pest prone, and they're easy to propagate as well from cuttings. You can just take a water cutting, cut it, put it in water, and it's good to go. And then over here, we've got some ficus ginseng bonsai. This one is for $24.47, I believe. And you can see right there, that trunk is pretty cool. I used to have a ginseng bonsai. Those are pretty cool. I just feel like the trunk or the base is really what makes the plant. It is a cool looking plant, but it's not a plant that I would really add to my collection again. And then it looks like somebody changed their mind on this gorgeous philodendron ring of fire. Love the planter that it's in. I really am all about that planter. And then it looks like somebody might have changed their mind on this philodendron white princess. This one doesn't nearly have as much variegation, although the new leaf might be unfurling a more variegated leaf. And then we've got some more ficus lyrata right here, or fiddle fig leaf. So plant foldies, what do you think about the ficus lyrata? Do you grow fiddle fig leaf? I used to have a really large one, but I always just find that plant to be a little bit finicky. The one I bought for 99 cents at Sprouts, which is another grocery store, it's doing okay. I was not consistent with the watering, therefore it kind of lost some of its leaves, but it is recovering again. It's just another plant that just needs a little bit more attention. Same thing with these Dieffenbachia here. As beautiful as they are, look at the coloration of it. They're just a little bit more challenging to grow indoors because they need a little bit more light. And notice how that has blooms on that particular one. I would cut the blooms off, because if you're growing a plant for its foliage, keeping the blooms will actually stunt the plant's growth. It'll actually put more energy producing the blooms versus producing the leaves. But plant foldies, as you can see right here on a beautiful Sunday morning, Still lots of beautiful plants. I think that is a good way to start your day off. And so for those that miss my live premieres, I always find it amazing that you'll start your day off by watching one of my plant shopping videos. As always, guys, please make sure you are hitting that like button. If you made it this far, please, please, please hit that like button. And then also subscribing to my channel with the notification bell on. I know that we've had some regulars not even subscribe. I'm hoping that we can get to 10,000 subscribers soon. Now, this is Richie at Growfold. I will definitely have another video, brand new video for you tomorrow. So I will see you again. Bye. Good day, my plant foldies. This is Richie at Growfolds, and today we'll be big box store plant shopping at the Home Depot out on Custer Road in McKinney, Texas. You can see that it is a beautiful Saturday morning, and I just wanted to go ahead and take a look at this Home Depot right over here. This is a Home Depot that I often visit for some big box store plant shopping videos. It's not that far from where I am based at, so you can see right here. It's early morning. The weather has been a little bit hot, so I just wanted to make sure I had an early start with my filming. As always, please make sure you are following me on Instagram at Growfold, as well as subscribing with the notification bell on if you like 1 hour plant shopping videos daily. And you can see right over here, it is around early summer, and with early summer comes crepe myrtles that will start to bloom. So that is one thing that is known for North Dallas, especially in the McKinney, Frisco area. They have a lot of crepe myrtles here. Now, crepe myrtles are flowering trees. They are very good for our climate, at least out in North Dallas, which is where I'm based at. They prefer full sun and very hot temperatures. If you don't give them that hot temperature, crepe myrtles are actually susceptible to a lot of fungal diseases, so they like to be more so on the drier side. But look at how beautiful the pink blooms that they have over here for these crepe myrtles. I happen to have a crepe myrtle growing in front of my yard, and it's doing fabulous. It's a lavender color, but I do like the pink blooms of this particular crepe myrtle. And you can see right here, now we're gonna go ahead and walk over to this Home Depot. So one thing about this Home Depot that I like is it is often restocked, and they have quite a bit of plants to choose from. But I am gonna take a little bit more time today on the outdoor plants. Obviously, for those that have been following my videos, and probably if you've discovered my plant shopping videos, most of it is indoor tropical plants. But with spring and early summer coming around, there's a lot of people that like gardening, and I happen to love gardening as well. So you can see right over here, we've got a bunch of vegetables, plants. Now these are the Bonnie plants, and then we can see right here, we've got some papaya trees. These are starter papaya trees right here. Now, these definitely couldn't be placed into the ground long term, at least for my grow zone, which is 8B, because this is a tropical plant. My family's from the Philippines, and we have a bunch of papaya trees that literally are just growing everywhere there. It is a plant that is endemic to the Philippines. But you can see here, we do have a papaya tree. These need full sun and hotter climates for it to really do well. I love the taste of papaya, so it is a tropical fruit, and I've actually grown a papaya tree before. I actually use papaya, like the green papayas, the ones that are not ripe, for a couple of Filipino dishes. So that's something that perhaps someday I may end up growing in my my landscape, at least in a container. But you can see here, they've got a sale going on for these vegetable plants, 2 for $12. So if you want to grow some tomatoes, and you know, some people will say that it is a little bit later in the season to be growing tomatoes, but it depends on really what your grow zone is. I know for 8B, which is where I'm based at, I'm still able to grow a bunch of these vegetable plants. I mean, we have a pretty hot climate. Anyways, here we have some red pineapples. So this is for $24.98. So pineapples are actually very similar to look for bromeliads. You know, I talk about bromeliads, which is another indoor tropical plant that we often see at big box stores. But look at this. Isn't this such a cool red pineapple? I think it's lovely. It is in its juvenile stage. Obviously, it'll get a lot larger, and I did want to feature that. I do think that this is more so that you can possibly eat this, but this is more of an ornamental type variety of pineapple. I mean, leave it in the comments if you agree. But I will keep walking around here and showing you guys some more of these pineapples. Super excited to announce that I will be going on a vacation to the Philippines for about 18 days. I will be flying out next Thursday. So I don't think I'll be able to have these daily plant shopping videos, currently, but I do have a bunch of plant shopping marathons, plant shopping compilations that are already scheduled out. So that way, for my viewers and subscribers, my plant foldies, and if you are new to my channel, I call my viewers and subscribers plant foldies. You will still get daily content from me. I made sure to plan ahead to make sure that we continue the engagement on this channel. I really enjoy having these live premiere chats. Now, all of the compilation videos and the marathon videos are going to be a lot longer. That way people can interact and chat on the live premieres. I think that that's really one of the draws about the YouTube channel is we are able to interact with each other. I know that whenever I do live premieres, I look forward to it. I actually look forward to it just because I want to see all of the regulars, and it's super exciting to see that there's so many people, new faces that are coming around for the live premiere. So if you are watching this video live for the first time during a live premiere, please don't be shy. Say hello. The plant folding community is super friendly. But you can see over here, now we're going to be looking at some of these succulents, assorted succulents and cactus. These are by Smart Plants, and these are plants. Smart Plants is actually another like plant nursery that provides a lot of like different types of succulents and cactus. Really like the look of this one as well. You can see that this one is super happy just because it is in bloom. And then when you think about plants that are blooming, that means that the plant is actually either mature or has had enough of the right growing conditions for it to actually grow, blooms. I will say with blooming, with blooms on certain plants, if you're growing the plant more so for its actual foliage versus the flowers, you want to cut back the flowers because flowers on a plant actually require a lot more energy for the plant to exert to produce those flowers. So that's what I would say. So like certain plants like aglaonema, those are plants that you want to make sure you cut the blooms back. That way you'll actually get more of the flowers versus the plant and putting out that much energy. And then you can see right over here, we've got tons of different types of cactus. This is another type of genus of plants that I'm not really familiar with. As I've done all of my plant shopping videos, I've started to really like pay attention to cactus some more. Some people really don't like cactus or they're not really into it. Same thing with succulents, but I believe that once I get into a specific genus, I'll probably get a plant obsession and like want to collect all of them. Like this one right here is a really cool Indian corn cob cactus right here. This is for $26.98. Here we've got some type of cactus right here. I thought this was the golden barrel cactus, but it is not. This one is for $26.98, but I believe Home Depot's actually doing a 50% off sale for that particular cactus. So if you want to save some money, definitely head out to Home Depot for that. And then you can see this is another type of aloe vera plant. And I'm going to pan over here and show you some more of this specific cactus right here. So plant foldies, let me know in the comments section if you actually grow succulents and cactus, who's really into that type of plant. I haven't really added a lot to my plant collection. And, with me going on vacation next week, even though I have been doing some of these last minute plant shopping videos to make sure I stay current with these, the plant content, I haven't been able to really add a lot of plants to my collection just because I am a little bit concerned about my plants, being gone for so long. I do have a plan, at least for my coleus plants, to be auto watered 3 times a day while I'm gone. But my indoor plants, I'm not 100% sure how they're going to survive. I am going to soak them, pretty wet just so that way they can be, watered. But at the same time, I don't really water my plants that often. I don't think 2 weeks of not watering a certain plant is really going to kill them, but you never know. So we'll see what that looks like when I get back from the Philippines. But you can see over here, these are some canna lilies, Canna Lily Cleopatra. Look at how dark the foliage is. I love that red bloom as well. You know, when you think about red blooms and like dark foliage plants, I always feel like that is a nice color combination. I like dark foliage plants. I feel like there is a certain elegance about them. Now with canna lilies, these are considered perennial plants in my grow zone. Please correct me if I'm wrong. So these will come back year after year. Really like that a lot, because if you're trying to save money on plants, rather than buying annual plants that will only grow for one growing season, if you plant a perennial, it'll grow back year after year and actually multiply. So I think that's super cool. And then over here, we've got some milkweed. These are for $19.98. And I like the fact that they have milkweed or butterfly weed. These are specifically the only type of diet that monarch butterflies eat. And, you know, the sad thing is, as I was growing up, you know, I always saw monarch butterflies, but apparently monarch butterflies are now considered rare and actually endangered. And because a lot of it is because that particular butterfly can only eat this particular plant. And with so many places just, you know, bulldozing areas where they have milkweed for like industrial or residential places, the food supply for monarch butterflies has lessened. So hopefully we will see more monarch butterflies. Hopefully there is a process to try to increase their numbers. One way I feel like we can help with monarch butterflies is to grow the milkweed, since that is something that you can buy at a big box store like Home Depot. And then over here, we've got some Gloriosa daisy. They almost remind me of like sunflowers, miniature sunflowers. Now these ones are for $19.98. I really like the look of that as well. You know, with this particular flower, you need to make sure that you're giving it full sun, at least six to 8 hours. And whenever you are going plant shopping, and I say this in a lot of my videos, hopefully I can educate some people, before you buy a plant, definitely do your research on the plant. Definitely look at your climate, your environment, your grow zone, and even the time and space that you have for a particular plant, whether it's for outdoor or indoors. Like for instance, these lantana, I love lantana. The reason why I love lantana is because in my grow zone, especially the climate here in North Texas, we get 100+ degree weather. It is literally hot as hell in the summertime. And this is a particular plant, which is also a perennial in my grow zone, that grows very well. It loves the heat. It is drought tolerant. It is a vigorous grower, and it has so many beautiful blooms. So what I decided this year is I actually planted a bunch of starter ones that were in like 4-inch planters. So that way I can have some type of ground cover and some beautiful leaf interest as well as blooms. They are doing extremely well, and I'm super happy that I made that investment for the plants, because it's going to be another plant that doesn't really require a lot of attention. Now here is another canna lily right here. I really love the variegation of this one as well. You can see that there is some dark foliage mixed in with the green. I'm not 100% sure what the actual bloom is for this canna lily, but again, that is another beautiful plant that would require a lot of light. And I'm just gonna walk around here, and you can see there are a bunch of planters of vinca flowers. Now vinca flowers again is another flower I would recommend for areas or places that have a lot of heat. It loves full sun. It is more drought tolerant than the typical bedding flowers. And you can see right here, this is a canna lily Cleopatra again. Beautiful canna lily. I love the dark foliage, and you can see the other one has like green and dark foliage over here. Really like that variegation as well. Now this one is for $36.98. Definitely would make a great patio container plant, or if depending on your grow zone, you can also plant that in the ground, and it can be a perennial. And then you can see right here, 4th of July is very close. So they've got some American flags there. And then we're gonna go ahead and take a look at this again. This is another canna lily. Look at how beautiful that is. I really love the actual patterns on the leaves. I mean, it's one that I would add to my collection. You know, I'm always wanting to add plants into my collection, but I am proud of the fact that in the last week, I haven't really added a lot of plants. I've had to put myself in time out because number one, whenever you go plant shopping, you end up buying plants, and it depends on your budget. I usually have a plant budget, but then every time I've gone plant shopping, I always blow my plant budget. You know, whenever you've been doing plant shopping videos literally for about 5 months now, that's what I've been doing for the last 5 months, is going into a big box store, a local plant nursery, somewhere that actually sells plants to feature that. You can only imagine how much money I've already spent on plants. So I have slowed down a bit, although I was very tempted to buy this desert rose here because for $29, that is a really nice sized desert rose. Look at how beautiful that is. Now this one right here was a little bit overwatered, so you can see that the caudex was actually a little bit rotted. The thing about desert rose is it is very drought tolerant. Honestly, I would caution about watering it too much because it is a succulent type plant and it will rot very easily if you overwater it. Now we're gonna walk over here and you can see we've got another container of canna lilies. And then now we're just gonna look at this beautiful Home Depot here. I love shopping early in the morning because there's not as many people. So I'm just gonna pan here and show you what, how full this outdoor section is of plants. You can see right over here, we've got a bunch of caladiums right over here. These are proven winner hybrids of caladiums. So we'll take a look at those a little bit closer later. But again, with caladiums, I really love the look of caladiums. They're more considered an outdoor plant. They prefer to be in shade, but people have grown caladiums indoors. I haven't grown my caladiums indoors. I have them outside in my front patio, which brings me to another point. I'd love to be able to do a coleus plant tour of my personal coleus plant collection as well as my caladiums. We'll see if I have enough time to produce a video. If not, I promise I will have that video when I come back from the Philippines. And be sure to actually take a look at my Instagram account. If you're not following me on Instagram, please follow me at Growfold. If you want to see what my current updates are, if you want to see what's going on my vacation, I will not really be uploading any type of video while I'm in the Philippines. I will be diligently filming a lot of content though, so that's going to be really interesting. I'll have some international plant shopping videos. Really excited to share that with you, my plant foldy, so stay tuned for that. And you can see right over here, they do have a massive indoor tropical section as well at this Home Depot. I like going to this Home Depot because I will find some, interesting plants. Some of their plants, I will say, may not always be in the best health. But that's really me being super critical of big box stores. We expect a lot when it comes to plants, at least the health of the plants. But you got to think at a big box store, plants are not necessarily their number one priority. I will say Home Depot does a pretty good job about keeping up with their plants as well. Like right here, this is an Alocasia caculata. This one is for $29.98. I ended up finding a beautiful sport variegated Alocasia caculata. I ended up buying it at Home Depot. I had bought two and it's doing very well. Now with Alocasias, all of my Alocasias are currently growing outside because I found that growing Alocasias indoors is a little bit more challenging. For some reason, they're just a little bit more finicky when it comes to like spider mites and just how they grow. I find that if you grow them outside in a shaded area that gets like a lot of morning sun, they love that. I think they also like the hotter conditions outside as well. So for me, that's what works out. Now over here, we've got some Hoya carnosa hanging baskets by Vigoro Plants. So Vigoro Plants is another plant supplier to Home Depot. I believe Vigoro Plants is probably exclusive to Home Depot. Now these hanging baskets are for $19.98. And the thing about Home Depot is they have quite a bit of Hoya carnosa, specifically Hoya carnosa. So, for the most part, a lot of big box stores don't really have a lot of Hoyas in general. Like this one right here, this is just a green Hoya carnosa. Really like the look of that. And I believe when I get a little bit more time and whenever I get my plant situation under control at home, I will probably be collecting a lot more Hoyas because the idea of their blooms being fragrant and beautiful, I would really love to be able to successfully grow a Hoya. So we'll see what that looks like. But you can see at Home Depot, at least this Home Depot, they've got a lot of hanging baskets of Hoya carnosa, as well as other hanging baskets Right over here, for instance, this one is another Hoya carnosa crimson princess. Look at how beautiful the variegation is. And you know, with this particular Hoya, while it is variegated, it is a very common Hoya. I don't have a problem with, you know, common plants. You know, some people will say, well, it's a basic plant. The reason why we have common plants is, number one, they're most likely easy to take care of and just easy care plants. And then number two, common plants are common because there is an interest for them. The Hoya carnosa crimson princess, although there are so many other fancy Hoyas, that's still a classic Hoya for me. And then speaking of classic plants, I love Epiprinum aureum neon pothos. Now this one is another one for $19.98 in a hanging basket. So that is within the range of a fair price for a 6-inch hanging basket plant, or I think this is 8-inch. Love neon pothos. Now pothos plants in general, or Epiprinum aureum, are easy to care for. They can tolerate lower light conditions. They can tolerate being underwater to a certain extent. They're easy to propagate, and for the most part, they are very vigorous growers. Like you can see right over here, Epiprinum aureum marble queen pothos. Now this one isn't as variegated, but you know, I still think it's a beautiful plant. I love the variegation of this particular pothos. Now the variegation on this particular pothos is really influenced by the amount of light you give it. So the more bright indirect light you give it, the better variegation it's going to get. And you can even see right over here, this is another example of a marble queen pothos that probably got better lighting conditions, because you can see this one is a lot lighter. Really love the look of this plant. And this is one of these plants that are so easy to propagate. Pothos plants are probably the easiest indoor tropical plant that you can grow or propagate from cuttings into water. I would say the easiest plant to propagate though that I've ever seen would be a coleus plant. Like literally, it doesn't even need to have a node. You can stick it in water, or better yet, directly into soil, and a week later you've got a new free plant. And I am all about free plants. I am all about saving money or finding ways to save money when it comes to free plants. And that's the reason why whenever you go big box store plant shopping, while most people will say that big box stores are typically less expensive than a local plant nursery, sometimes local plant nurseries have a better deal. So it's all about just canvassing the pricing that you have. Like this one right here is a Monstera adansonii for $19.98. And that's why, especially if you are a local plant foldy or somebody that lives out in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, I would hope you would hit the subscribe button with the notification bell on, because again, I am literally in a big box store daily filming plant content, at least for an hour. And so you will stay up to date with the plant pricing and what plants are actually entering the Dallas-Fort Worth market. And you can see right here, this one is a Scindapsus silver Ann, or maybe a Scindapsus exotica. I'm not 100% sure, but it is a beautiful plant. And let me go pull this one out too. So for all of my Hoya heads, or for those that love Hoyas, look at how beautiful this variegation is on this Hoya carnosa crimson princess. Gotta love the look of this particular plant. And then again, this is another plant that is fairly easy to grow. You know, people will say Hoya could be a little bit finicky, but honestly, as long as you give the Hoya bright light and you're consistent with the watering, it'll do just fine. They also like humidity as well. I've been told that if you give it a little bit more humidity and bright light, that's when they start to bloom. I am a little bit, you know, envious of somebody's posts, a couple of people's posts on Instagram and even YouTube, where they're sharing that they were able to successfully get a Hoya to bloom. So hopefully my 2 Hoyas that I have in hanging baskets will eventually bloom. Now here is another proven winners alocasia right here. This one is for $29.98. I actually have this particular alocasia. It is another alocasia I need to rehab. So that's the thing. Earlier in the year, around January, February, when I started seeing all of these fancy alocasia, I went overboard and bought a bunch of varieties, not knowing that they were actually a little bit more challenging than I thought. I thought that if I stayed on top of the watering and all of that, that they would do well, but knowing that they are still finicky plants, I ended up having a lot of these alocasias needing to be rehabbed. And my suggestion is, if you have a plant that you want to rehab, go ahead and take it outside, grow it out in a back patio or a patio where it gets shade and maybe some really good morning sun. I promise you, for the most part, these plants will bounce back because it's easy to water them. You can literally take a hose, they get some ambient humidity. And as far as pests, they have natural predators to get rid of plant pests. So I really like the idea of growing plants outdoors. if you're looking to grow like say a philodendron to get it really large or a monstera, I would take it outside and grow it outdoors. For some reason, just taking a plant outdoors that you would grow indoors actually increases their growth for some reason. So I really like that. It's kind of like giving plants steroids when you take them outside. And you can see here, this is another alocasia, though the same one that I was actually debating on buying today, but I am holding off from doing that. You know, whenever you're taking a major trip out to, internationally, especially the Philippines, I have not been there in more than a decade. I want to save all my money, so in case I want to buy stuff or just really live it up, I can do so. I mean, all of these plants, you know, we always think, oh my gosh, this is like a beautiful plant. Like this one right here is that Monstera deliciosa. I have regretted not buying a particular plant. And, you know, when I come back, I was like, okay, I'll come back to the plant. Then it happens to not be there the next day. I always think, well, you know, big box stores will always get restocked with plants, and that is a fact. If there's a particular plant that you might have missed out, especially at a big box store, just know that they do go into cycles, and you'll be able to find the plant. So as you can see here, these are all of the proven winner plants here. There are a couple of plants that aren't looking as healthy. Like I'll show you this. This is a variegated Ficus benjamina. This one is Klingon over the edge by Proven Winners. You can see that it's variegated, but it looks like some of the variegation is crisping up a little bit. You know, that's the thing about certain plants, especially variegated plants. The white part where they don't have any chlorophyll in the cells, it just has the potential of crisping up. So that's why you want to look for plants that have like even variegation. As beautiful as like a highly variegated plant is, sometimes it is just not stable enough for the plant to really sustain that variegation, and it's just a weaker plant in general. And you can see right here, Proven Winners. These are Hoyas only for $5.98. Really nice looking Hoya as well. I believe this is another type of Hoya carnosa. This one has a little bit more green on it, but you know, with Hoyas, surprisingly, some people will say Hoyas are slow growing. They're actually pretty vigorous growers when you give them that bright light and a little bit higher humidity. Like look at this beautiful variegation here. And what I like about Hoyas is when you sun stress them, and the term sun stressing is when you're actually giving the plant a little bit more light than it's used to the point where it's not necessarily going to burn it. You notice how there's a little bit of pink right there. That's some sun stressing, and certain Hoyas look so fabulous when it comes to being sun stressed. And then you can see right here, this is such an enticing plant. So Calatheas are very enticing in a sense that they have beautiful foliage. Like this is a Calathea orbifolia. I've had 2 of these this year. Both of them ended up going to Plant Heaven. This one is another beautiful one by Proven Winners for $29.98. I would totally buy this Calathea because look at how immaculate the leaves are. They're perfect. It's a nice size. The only way I would buy this is if I was going to go ahead and transfer this into hydroponics or transfer it into straight water and grow it that way, because growing Calatheas, at least in a soil substrate, doesn't really work for me because I am a person that doesn't really water their plants as much as I should be. And part of the reason is because of my lifestyle. I have a very busy and demanding job. I'm actually thankful that I'm off this weekend because I still have to pack for my vacation. But when it comes down to certain plants like Calatheas that need more water, they just don't do well for me. Same thing with alocasias too. I let my alocasias go bone dry, and that is not really the best watering that you need to do for alocasias. And even though like this Epiprimnum aria Marble Queen Pothos can tolerate being underwatered, if you just don't water the plant for a long period of time, no matter how tolerant they are to drought, they will end up starting to like decline in their health. So that's just one thing that you have to keep in mind. Again, as much as we want to get excited, like I get excited about even seeing this Hoya sea stones, for instance, like I want to add this, but the amount of plants that you're adding into your plant collection, it can get I would just say it can get very overwhelming to the point where the plants end up not bringing joy. It actually brings stress. And if you guys haven't already checked this out, please watch my friend Janae Simone's video about how to deal with plant burnout. It is a really good video that will resonate with a lot of us. I can definitely relate to that. But again, this is another plant that you know what, I'm going to end up buying this. I said I wasn't going to buy it, but I'm going to end up buying this. This is a beautiful philodendron gloriosum, and this is actually one that's nice looking. I want to add more philodendron to my collection. I think philodendron in general is a classic indoor plant. It is a plant that I grew a bunch of a couple years back when I actually had a really massive plant collection. I find that philodendron are actually fairly easy to take care of and grow, and this one particularly is so beautiful. I love the velvety leaves, but the one thing I will say about philodendron gloriosum is it doesn't need a moss pole. It is a crawler philodendron, so it likes to actually crawl across the soil. So I would need to, if I'm going to repot it, I would need to go repot it in more of a rectangular type pot. So, you know, that's something interesting, that certain plants, they just have their growth, different growth patterns. This one particularly likes to crawl rather than to climb. Beautiful plant. However, with it being a velvety type philodendron, I will need to make sure I stay on top of the spider mite control, the pest control, because velvety plants for some reason end up getting pest more so than to plants that are not velvety. So again, that is another plant that I am probably going to buy today. I'm pretty sure I'm going to buy it. So we'll just see what that looks like. But as you can see right here, I'm going to keep walking around and showing you some more of these outdoor plants. It's really crazy that even though I'm filming this early in the morning, it is already feeling very hot. And today I am going to spend some time really packing and making sure that my luggage is together. You know, whenever you go international and you fly internationally, you want to make sure that you have everything lined up instead of like packing the night before. I definitely don't want to have that stress. I am still thinking about how am I going to be able to get some of these plant shopping videos to all of you plant foldies the next couple of days. I am working on some compilations, and I really urge you guys, I really hope you guys will do this, but definitely turn on the notification bell on for all of the future plant marathon, plant shopping compilations that I've already uploaded, so then you know when it's going to actually happen. Most of my plant shopping compilations while I am gone from the Philippines will start on June 28th. That one will actually premiere around 5:30 or 6. Most of my compilations will start at an earlier time because they are longer compilations. So just definitely check that out. But you can see there are a lot of different types of plants at this Home Depot for a very good price. I feel like you'd save money whenever you buy plants at Home Depot. For the most part, Home Depot has some really healthy looking plants. Like right here is a Dracaena marginata colorama. This one is for $19.98. It's another easy to care for plant. It is a plant that can tolerate lower light conditions. It is another plant that can get tall, beautiful, and if the light hits it the right way, you can see that it looks more like electrifying. It looks like it's actually lit up. Beautiful plant. And then over here, we've got some Chinese evergreens or aglaonemas. I actually like this variety here. Look at how the borders of the leaves are green and it has a subtle striping across it. I do like that particular aglaonema, and it does get very large as well. Now, aglaonemas is another underrated plant. I talk about that in pretty much every single video that features aglaonema. If you don't have an aglaonema and you're watching my videos, please, please, please consider buying yourself an aglaonema. You will not regret it because it is a plant that can tolerate lower light conditions. It doesn't need a lot of water, and it has so many beautiful colors. Now over here is a cast iron plant, I believe for $15.98. I might actually get a cast iron plant. I think there is a certain allure about it, just even having it beautiful, that beautiful green color. It looks like it would be an easy to care for plant. So plant foldies that have actually grown a cast iron plant, please let me know in the comments section if it is an easy to care for plant. It is one that I've only been able to find at Home Depot. So some people actually say that the cast iron plant, yep, this is for $15.98, is a little bit more uncommon to find. Maybe correct me if I'm wrong. I just don't really see this except at Home Depot. I've never seen it at Lowe's or even Walmart, and I don't really see it a lot at local plant nurseries either. So quite interesting, but it is another plant that while it is only a green variety, I still find beauty in it. And I actually find a lot of beauty in this philodendron rojo Congo. What a gorgeous philodendron. I love the dark foliage, the dark green foliage on it. It is an easy to care for plant. Again, with most philodendrons, they just need a lot of bright indirect light. If you can give them better higher humidity, they do a little bit better. But for the most part, they're not as finicky of a plant as compared to, say, a calathea. The philodendron rojo Congo, this particular one, can get very large as well. So if you want a large philodendron, definitely invest in that. And you can see in the background they've got a bunch of Alocasia regal shields, more cast iron plants right over here. And then we're going to take a look at this. So this one is a spider plant in a hanging basket. So I would love to be able to add a spider plant to my collection. The only thing about spider plants is if I'm going to go buy one, I would be super selective, because spider plants, I like perfect foliage, or at least close to perfect foliage, especially for those narrow plants. You want to make sure that the water you use is more like distilled or purified water. Otherwise, the tips of the spider plant will get a little bit brown. And then over here, we've got a Tradescanthia burgundy. Now this one right here is an example of how a Tradescanthia can become super leggy super quickly. So if you have a Tradescanthia, one thing you'll have to do, especially with this variety, is you'll have to cut it back once it starts to look leggy. So this one should have been cut back a while back. Now it's pretty leggy. Now the thing about Tradescanthia is they are vigorous growers and they're easy to care for as well. You can see here, this one is a little bit more compact of a Tradescanthia. This is a Tradescanthia Feeling Flirty by Proven Winners. I believe this is for $19.98. I have this variety, but I ended up buying it in a 4-inch planter for $5.98. I felt like I didn't really need that ceramic pot, and it's still doing very well for me. And then this one is a hydroponic or a Leaf Joy H2O bowl by Proven Winners. This is a juvenile philodendron Birkin. You can see that there's not any variegation yet on that. And then this one right here is a philodendron Red Sun, although it looks more like a philodendron Rojo Congo. I would love to add a philodendron Red Sun to my collection, just because when the new leaf unfurls, it actually has a very deep red color to it. Here is a Thenanthe that I like in a hydroponic. So this is why I would grow a Thenanthe, just because they're similar to calatheas. They do require a lot of water, but if you're growing them in a hydroponic situation like this, you don't ever have to water them because they're sitting in water. So this one is for $19.98. This is a Burley Marxii. Thenanthe, really like the look of this as well. I just like the leaf pattern, those really subtle veins right there, and then also the purple undersides. And then you can see here, let's see what else we got. Some more pink plants. I love pink plants. Take a look at this Syngonium right here, in a hydroponic situation. I have a couple of my plants that I'm growing in hydroponics, mostly my anthuriums. I've got aglaonemas and calatheas. And the way to get something to transfer to hydroponic is I'll just literally buy the plant, take it outside, hose it down, clean up the roots, try to get as much of the soil off, because if you have soil and then you put it in water, potentially there'd be bacteria that will rot up the soil. But if you can get a lot of that soil cleaned up, you can just stick it in a bowl of water and it will grow. At least it's transferred to me fairly well. And then you can see right here, this is a philodendron Belitiae. So it's really cool to see philodendron Belitiaes being found at a big box store like Home Depot. This one again is for $19.98 by Proven Winners. I really like the look of the philodendron Belitiae just because it's got some nice orange stems. I also like how narrow the leaves are. It is another philodendron that can get fairly large, but it does like to climb, so you'll eventually need to get it on a moss pole or a totem pole. But again, it just is such a beautiful plant that years back, I would say 3 to 4 years ago, it was extremely expensive, and now you can see these at big box stores. And then you can see here, this is some type of philodendron. I'm not 100% sure what this philodendron is. It could be a Prince of Orange, not really sure. But either way, it is interesting that there are more philodendron varieties that are available at a big box store. You know, back then, philodendrons were more so of an uncommon or rare plant. So now if you are somebody who likes to collect philodendron, you can go to a big box store like Home Depot and find a variety of them. And then over here is another Leaf Joy H2O bowl of some type of Thenanthe plant. You can see this one is running out of water, so we just want to make sure that, you know, somebody fills this up. And that's the thing I've noticed though, is all of those Proven Winner Leaf Joy bowls haven't necessarily been being sold. I think the price is a little bit expensive expensive for what you would consider almost like a plant propagation. I did buy one. I bought a philodendron Birkins, and it's doing very well, but then I realized that I could actually do my hydroponic plantings myself, so I ended up doing that. I just am a little bit sad that a lot of those leaf joy plants, the ones into the hydroponics, end up in the trash. And that's the thing about big box store plant shopping. When a plant declines in its health to the point where it doesn't sell, it ends up in the trash. And I always wonder about the carbon footprint of like a lot of these plants, because you got to think there are a lot of plastic that's involved, and then you also got to think about the transportation, the amount of water, the amount of energy that we place into growing these plants. These plants did not get this large. For instance, like this Alocasia regal shield, it took some time. And that's why whenever I go big box store plant shopping, I just hope that these, plant shopping videos will inspire people to go out and purchase plants. I really want to influence you guys to buy plants, get into plant care, just because I feel like plants in general really highlight and actually enhance somebody's lifestyle. I feel like plants are really good for relaxation, mental health awareness, all of that stuff. I know for me, whenever I am a little bit stressed or even have some type of anxieties, just watering my plants, looking at my plants, and just pausing and taking the time to admire them really does help me out from a mental health point. And that brings me to another point. I am just happy that we have such a great community, a positive community at the Plant Foldies, the Plant Foldies Grow Folds community. So I really want to make sure that we continue to have that momentum. So if you have anybody that is feeling lonely or wants you to just look at plants, please recommend my YouTube channel. I would love to add more people to our community. And I do plan on doing a Facebook page for the Plant Foldies. I talk about that in all my videos, but I really am going to commit to it. I just want to make sure that I have all of my the things that I want to put on that Facebook page ready to go, and then it'll be a fun time. And speaking of fun time, like, look at this. I am just having so much fun showing you guys these coleus plants. You already know this is a coleus Kong. What a beautiful coleus plant. Now with coleus, especially the Kong, these actually get large leaves, but also you need to make sure that they are in a more shaded area or protection from the afternoon sun. They can't really tolerate really direct light. There are some coleus plants that can take full sun. That's what you call sun coleus, but the Kong coleus is not a plant that you can just put out in the full sun. And you can see here caladiums as well. Look at how large this caladium leaf is. Really love the look of caladiums. And again, caladiums to me are the more colorful version of an alocasia. It is another plant that I feel like is readily available, especially in the early spring. Not early spring, I mean late spring and early summer. I mean, you can see there, and then you can see over here, I did want to show you this. So it's really cool to see a hanging basket. I think this is for only $19.98 of Tradescanthia Nanook. What a beautiful pink Tradescanthia. I really love that. That is my favorite Tradescanthia, just because it's got larger leaves. It doesn't get as leggy as, say, the Tradescanthia Burgundy. And for the most part, it's a vigorous grower, easy to propagate, and it has beautiful like leaf interest as far as like the purple undersides, the pink variegation. What a beautiful plant. And it was another plant that was very expensive about 3 to 4 years ago. I remember buying a cutting for like $20, and now you can buy a full hanging basket, a couple years back. And then I want to go back to this beautiful caladium right over here. This is a Proven Winners caladium. I really love that red tone on it. And this one is the Bottle Rocket caladium by Proven Winners. This one can tolerate sun, which means you can grow this in a more sunny area. These could be great for sure in containers, or you can plant them in the ground. If you do plant them in the ground, depending on your grow zone, these can go back year after year. Caladiums grow from a bulb, and so they'll just go dormant when it gets a little bit colder, but then come back out when the weather gets a little bit warmer. They typically start to sprout in the late spring, early summer, when temperatures start to grow to get a little bit hot. I remember growing a bunch of caladium bulbs, and I loved it. I loved having my whole caladium collection in my back patio. I do have some old footage of that, so I might insert some of my old school plants when I used to, grow them before I ended up actually doing plant shopping videos on YouTube. So plant foldies, what do you guys think so far of this beautiful Home Depot right here? What plants are you seeing at your big box store? I am just curious, and you know, I really love seeing comments in the comment section. I know that there are a couple of people, like for instance, Terry, who calls him or herself the Count. I really appreciate you dropping all of those Hydra Helix comments. And for those who don't know what Hydra Helix is, that is really my mispronunciation of Hedera Helix or English ivy. It is a Grow Folds Plant Foldy community joke. But anyways, I do appreciate all the comments in the comments section. So if you're watching this video, you can do timestamps and just leave comments. I love seeing comments. I'm hoping I can get like maybe 100 comments in this comment section. It's just fun for me, and it is all about that engagement. I suppose that's the reason why I do all of these plant shopping videos. You know, earlier I used to really talk about the plant care. I feel like I've moved on to not only just a plant care, but actually utilizing my plant shopping videos as being more of a personal blog where I can just tell you about my insights, what's going on with me, and just anything plant related. So hopefully you guys like listening to me talk to you guys for a good solid hour. Wait till you see the plant compilation videos as well. And you can see here, we've got so many beautiful wax begonias, and look at how clear the skies are. Don't let that deceive you. It is so hot already. And that's the thing about Texas, you know, it is a very hot state in the summertime, and that's the reason why I feel like a lot of my Japanese maples don't do as well. You know, I love Japanese maples, but they just cannot tolerate that heat. I'm hoping that some of my trees that I'm growing in my backyard, I have a Acer truncatum or a Shangtung maple that has really put on a lot of growth over the last 5 years, as well as a ginkgo biloba tree that I have. It's called a autumn gold or summer gold. I'll definitely have to show you my backyard as well with my garden. I'm trying to do a Japanese garden, and so we'll see about that. But as you can see here, if you ever want outdoor plants, definitely go to Home Depot. They've got tropical plants, they've got vegetables, they've got all sorts of plants. And I will go out on a limb and say that, you know, for the most part, I've never really had any issues of plants that I purchased from Home Depot. Typically, they are still fairly healthy. Now, my routine, again, when it comes to like buying plants at a big box store or even a local plant nursery is I take them home and then I spray the tops of the leaves, the bottoms of the leaves, the soil, the stems, in between the nodes with a DIY neem oil spray, just to make sure that there are no hitchhikers or plant pests that will enter my plant collection. And then I typically quarantine the newly bought plant away from my main collection for at least a week or two. And then that to me has really kept a lot of my plant pests at bay. And then you can see, as I walk by all of these beautiful plants, you can see that this is one that I really like looking at. This is a cordyline tea plant, the kiwi version. I love this plant because it has so many different colors that, you know, are shown, and it actually gets very large. I ended up buying one at a local plant nursery called Callaway's Nursery, which, by the way, you already know if you watch my videos, I feature Callaway's Nursery almost daily, or, you know, at least 3 to 4 times a week during my plant shopping videos. So if you haven't seen a Callaway's nursery tour, definitely check that out. I have been spending a lot of time in local plant nurseries just because I want to support local nurseries as well, even small businesses. Like one small business that I really wish people will support and make sure that you visit it if you're ever in Dallas is called Peta's Planters. It is a beautiful plant nursery that I would recommend. And also going to Green Acres in Melissa, Texas. I recently premiered a video yesterday actually of Melissa, Texas's Green Acres. Definitely check that video out if you haven't already. And then you can see here, all of these are hibiscus flowers, and notice how all of the hibiscus flowers have a lot of different colors and patterns. I really like America's Sweetheart. I remember seeing these more so at a grocery store called Kroger. And you can see that these hibiscus start to bloom when the weather is a little bit warmer, more so in the summer. My variegated hibiscus salsa dancer actually produced one bloom. So I was super excited about that. I may take some photos and actually upload it on my Instagram. And then you can see right here, this is that Rico Suave hibiscus. Look at how beautiful that color is right there. I really love the yellow. And then also the middle of it has that red tone to it. So what a beautiful looking hibiscus. And you know what, hibiscus, they need to be out in full sun. You definitely want to make sure that they don't dry out completely. They do like their water, and for the most part they're easy to grow. Now they also have what you call the perennial or hardy hibiscus. That is a hibiscus, at least in my grow zone, that is able to grow in the ground and will grow back year after year. The ones that I just showed you are called tropical hibiscus. Those cannot be put in the ground, at least in my grow zone, which is 8B, because they're more of a tropical plant. They just are not perennials in that sense. So that's the reason why I think when it comes to certain plants, when it's growing them outdoors, I definitely want to lean toward more so the more perennial plants, just because I don't want to just have to keep rebuying plants and having to replant them year after year like an annual. Like I would love to be able to grow, for instance, these beautiful bougainvillea flowers. The only thing is bougainvillea flowers are not able to grow in my landscape, just because our winters are just too cold and they are not going to be able to survive that. But in California, I was able to see so many beautiful bougainvillea walls, and it was amazing. And so that's just the thing about certain plants. It depends on your climate. Like this one right here, again, $29.98. I really thought about buying this particular desert rose. I love white blooms. This would make a perfect bonsai. Like I could see myself just planting this in a shallow pot and just really training this to be a bonsai. And you know, for a large size adenium or desert rose, $29 is not bad, because typically even at local nurseries, these desert rose are a lot more expensive. And you know, for the most part, the care tips for adenium or desert rose is you want them to be in full sun. They like the heat. Just don't water them too often, because they will root rot. And I think this plant actually would suit more so of my lifestyle, because I really don't water my plants. And you can see how large that caudex is, or that trunk area is. I don't know, plant foliage, should I buy this one right here? Should I spend another $29.98 to buy it? Please leave that in the comments and let me know, because I only live like 4 minutes away from this Home Depot. So we'll definitely check that out. And then you can see here, I'm just going to walk around here and show you guys just a little bit more of the succulents and cactus as well. Again, all of these cactus and succulents are sourced out by Smart Plants. I've seen Smart Plants actually source out to another big box store like Walmart. I don't really see them out in Lowe's. Lowe's typically gets like Oasis plants, although I feel like it's the same nursery. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you can see here, like, look at how interesting that particular cactus succulent is. And you can just see that there's so many different varieties. I need to find a YouTube channel that just features a bunch of cactus and succulents. I'm pretty sure there is a specific niche when it comes to that. But you can see here, these are not a bad price at all. $6.98 for some of these cactus and succulents is not a bad price at all. And I noticed that some of the plant vendors were actually marking down the plants and putting them on sale. And then this one right here is what they call the low light haworthias. So look at how beautiful that is. And I actually like the planter. The planter is a very minimalist planter. I really like the look of that. I like minimalistic planters like that. And you can see this haworthia has a nice, interesting pattern to its leaves. It looks almost like a sansevieria, but these plants can tolerate lower light conditions. They are a succulent, but for a succulent, they can tolerate lower light conditions. So I find that quite interesting. And I don't own a haworthia, but it would be some plant that I would consider adding to my collection. Plant foldies that do grow haworthias, leave it in the comments and let me know what your care tips are. I would assume that since it is a succulent plant, that it would require less water there. You don't want to overwater it. And I just thought that this plant would actually need more light since it is a succulent. But you know, that goes to show that just because a certain plant isn't a specific like genus of plants, it doesn't mean that the care tips are always going to be similar. And you know, I can use that as an example for Dracaena. Like Dracaena sandriana is a Dracaena that does need to be watered more often. Typically Dracaenas in general are very drought tolerant, but not that particular Dracaena. So you know, it just goes to show that we are always learning. I am always learning. Every time I go plant shopping, there is something new that I learn about plants, whether it's a plant care, plant pricing, or just a specific insight on plants. So plant foldies, I do urge you guys, as you guys watch my videos, to just leave, you know, plant insights or your comments about plants. Again, I am all about that engagement and making sure that we communicate as a community. You know, whenever I do these plant shopping videos, I never really have a script written. I basically, you know, film this plant, shopping video for about an hour and then do a voiceover and just kind of tell you my thoughts. I figured that is a little bit more of a organic way of communicating with y'all, and I feel like it's just me being my authentic self. And you can see that with me being more of my authentic self, there are, you know, like little bloopers that I have, or even in some of my commentary, it may not be the most seamless transition in some of my subjects. But if you guys still like watching my videos, which it seems like you guys do because you guys tune in, I really appreciate that. And you can see all of these smart plants are for $44.98. These are in the 10-inch planters. Look at how large certain succulents can get. And I just find that interesting that as a plant does mature and grow, the potential of its size is almost limitless. And as I walk away here, there's a bunch of ornamental grasses. I just wanted to show you guys just a couple of more plants here before I end this video. It is a beautiful Saturday morning. I'm so thankful I'm off. You know, I was a little bit overwhelmed last week, if I'm being fully transparent, just because I wasn't able to consistently like upload videos. And I just feel like if I don't upload a video, sometimes I feel like YouTube won't push my videos. Maybe the algorithm gets angry at me. And that's the reason why I always encourage all of our plant foldies to at least hit the like button. Like if you made it this far into my plant shopping video, please hit the like button and also leave comments. That just kind of gives YouTube, you know, I guess gives YouTube data to know that people are actually interested in my work. And then over here, you can see that this is a Proven Winners potato vine for $12.98. I really like the look of this. Dark foliage plants are amazing. And even just the shape of the leaves, look at how beautiful they're, the heart-shaped leaf. That is a really nice looking potato vine. And you know, with potato vines, they grow so vigorous and so easy out in full sun. I've tried to grow these indoors. They just don't do very well for me indoors. So for now, I am only growing my variegated potato vine outdoors in full sun. It's doing very well. I will say that it does get a little bit limpy if I don't water it twice a day. It does suck up a lot of water. And then you can see here, they've got a bunch of knockout roses. Now with knockout roses or rose bushes in general, make sure you don't water the tops of the leaves. You want to water the base of the actual plant, because if you water the leaves and they stay wet, it can invite fungus diseases. And then you can see right here, same thing with these beautiful crepe myrtles. Now these are the first edition ones where they have the dark foliage. You can see that they have such beautiful contrast right there. Now crepe myrtles, again, also like to be more on the drier side. If you water them too much, they'll end up getting fungus diseases. And then you can see right here, this is a beautiful hardy or perennial hibiscus by Proven Winners. Like, look at how beautiful that is. That red tone onto that flower is really nice. And I really like the dark foliage. That purple leaf is amazing. I might actually want to get one of these, but if I am going to grow this type of hibiscus, it definitely will be grown into the ground. This one is called the Summerific Holy Grail hibiscus. Really nice looking plant. And I always find Proven Winners names for their plants hilarious. There's just some that are just really quirky, but I like that. And then I also wanted to show you these variegated oleander. I've been eyeing these for several months now. It looks like there's just a couple left. But with oleander, you just have to be careful because that is a highly toxic and poisonous plant. Make sure you don't have your pets around it, and even kids around that particular plant. Like the sap from the actual leaves and stems are highly toxic. So just have some caution with that. And then you can see here, I've got a bunch of other impatient plants, and then look at the dark foliage of this beautiful potato vine plant. So plant foldies, let me know what you think of all of the plants you've seen this morning from my Home Depot plant shopping video. Did you find some really good pricing? What did you think about all of the plants that you've seen so far? Should I have bought those plants like that desert rose? I'd like to know in the comments. I will actually buy that philodendron gloriosum by Proven Winners. I think it's for $29.98. I really think that might be the last plant I add to my collection, but you never know. And you can see just how beautiful these caladiums are. So plant foldies, I hope you guys have enjoyed this installment so far. I definitely will have a couple more videos for you soon. I'll see you on the next one though.